Hello and welcome to Cataclysm University. My name is Vormithrax and this is course number 17 where I'm going to be offering some tips for early game survival in the evac shelter. So in Cataclysm there is kind of a default game world. If you go to the default menus to create a brand new game world and you pick a scenario, the evac shelter and the survivor character are kind of the defaults, and I do recommend you use those in your first few games. So here I'm going to load in a brand new game. Okay, so this is a brand new game, and this is the standard evac shelter layout, and we've got a survivor class character. So if I bring his information page up, he's just a survivor as the profession, and then the evac shelter start. So you can see he has 0 skills. Now, the things I'm going to show you for crafting, some of them have requirements of certain skills. So you're not likely to start a game with not a single skill point, but just in case you do for some reason, or you don't have the specific skills that you might need for certain things, I'll show you some early game things you can build in the evac shelter that should improve your survival odds quite a bit. So here are the steps that you kind of want to go through. So first thing we're going to do is take a look outside. We're going to use the Shift-V command to kind of look around. We're going to use the items list and locate a rock. So we got a rock 17 to the northwest and 27 to the west. So we're going to go get that one to the northwest. We're just going to run up this way, grab this rock, and we're going to wield the rock. So we now have a rock in our hand as our weapon. We're going to run back into the shelter. And next we're going to destroy some things to create some raw materials for crafting. So first I'm going to look at these curtains and I'm going to tear them down. That then leaves us a long string, a heavy stick, some sheets, and some nails. I'm going to use the rock to bash this right here. I'm bashing this bench, and it might take a number of tries. There we go. So now we've managed to destroy the bench to make some more raw materials. We're going to look at that, and we're going to grab the 2x4. We're now going to wield the 2x4. It's got a more efficient bash stat. Alright, and then we're going to smash up some more things. We're going to keep smashing benches. And then I'm also going to smash these lockers. And our stamina is wearing down, but we got a few of them done. Alright, so we've now got a bunch of raw materials. I'm going to use the advanced inventory menu right here. Pick everything in that column, and right where I'm standing, transfer it all. And I'll do the same thing here, but I'll tell it to move there, transfer it all. Alright, so now I've got all of that raw material sitting in this one pile. We've got sheets, sticks, string, we've got scrap metal, chunks of steel, some pipes, and so on. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do Shift-7 to bring up our crafting menu. And now that we've got light to craft by, as well as some raw materials, you can see we've got some choices. So the first one I'm going to mention is the Makeshift Crowbar. And you can see here it just takes a tool with hammering of 1, as well as a pipe. And if we look at our inventory, the rock has hammering level of 1. So that gives us the tool requirement to make that. So we'll go ahead and bring the list back up. We're going to say make the crowbar. Wonderful. I'm now going to drop the 2x4 into our pile, and we're going to wield the makeshift crowbar. So that is an even more effective blunt object. So it's got 12 bashing, and we can use that to basically continue to smash things apart. It also gives us the prying ability, so we can use the makeshift crowbar to pry open doors and windows when we visit town. So it's a very useful multi-purpose tool. You can use it to open things as well as use it as a early game blunt weapon. So it's good for bashing apart raw materials, for lockers and benches. It's good for using as a blunt weapon against monsters. It's not the best weapon, but some monsters are hit more effectively with bash attacks as opposed to piercing or cut. So skeletons, for example, you want to use a bashing weapon instead of a piercing weapon. And it's got 12 bash and a +2 to hit, and it swings pretty fast. So general purpose, good item to have available. So another thing we're going to look at is the improvised lockpicks. So another way to get through locked doors, if you don't want to make noise by trying to bash through them or by opening them with the crowbar, We're going to do lockpicks, and we're going to do 5 of them. And this, you can see, once again, you just need a tool with hammering. That's what the stone is for. And then 5 scrap metal in order to build the lockpicks. And you can see here, we successfully built lockpicks. Alright, so we've got a crowbar, we've got lockpicks, 2 very, very useful early game items. What do we need next? Well, for the next part, we actually need to get a skill point. So, I've started purposely with not a single skill point anywhere in my list. You can see from the limited crafting we've done, we've already managed to get half of the first level of fabrication. And we've also got a little bit of melee from just smashing things with our blunt weapon. But what we need is the survival skill. I need 1 level of survival. And how do we do that early game? Well, the simplest way is to go outside, open up your map, and look for forest. So we got forest due west of us, and we're just going to run over to the forest. And here we go, forest. Alright. There are different kinds of trees and bushes, and what we're looking for is not these shrubs, we're looking for these right here, underbrush. So they're kind of a brighter green, leafy looking bush. If we step up to this and we search it, and that's done by just hitting the examine key and picking a direction, you can see that it changes colors to show that you've already thoroughly searched that, and we're not finding anything. Well, I'm going to keep trying. We're going to keep moving and searching. Oh, we found something. We found 12 scrap metal and a cigarette butt. We'll go ahead and grab the scrap metal in our inventory, and we'll keep searching. And we're just going to keep doing this for a while. I'm just moving between bushes and searching and then moving on. Oh, we also found some wild vegetables. Hopefully you're getting an idea of why this is important. It has 2 purposes. We're finding food items, herbs and vegetables, and sometimes you can find other things, which is useful in itself. But if you look at your character screen, survival skill is now at 74%. So we've only searched about, 10, 12 bushes, and we're already most of the way towards a level. So I'm just going to keep doing this, searching these underbrush, until we gain a level. How close are we now? We're at 98%. 1 more. There we go. Your skill in survival has increased to 1. That's what I wanted. I'm going to go ahead and grab this stick while we're here. Now you could continue searching if you wanted to get some more herbs and spices and things like that. I don't need the cigarette butt. But I'm just going to head back into our base now. So we'll run back to our base. Alright, head back to our stockpile of materials. Okay, so now that we have survival skill of 1, and that was quick and easy, we're going to bring up the crafting menu again, and this time we're going to search for the spike. And again, that only takes a tool with hammering and a couple of the metal objects that we've already got. So we're going to build a spike, and we can pick which we want to build it out of. I'm going to pick scrap metal. We've got a bunch of that. And you can see we successfully crafted the spike. Alright, next thing we're going to do is craft again. This time we're going to look for a knife. And we need either a makeshift knife or we need a stone knife. Now, we've got a stone to build this out of, but we're going to need a small string. Or for the makeshift knife, we're going to need a rag. So we've got a few choices here. Either we can destroy one of our pieces of clothing that we're currently wearing in order to get some rags, hopefully, or we can get a string from the pile here. We've got a heavy string, we've got a long string, and we can break that down. So what I'm going to do is we're going to take down another curtain, grab the string out of there, and if we go to our inventory, go to the long string, we can use the disassemble command to break this down into smaller parts. And you can see here it says disassemble it to cut it into smaller pieces. So we're going to go ahead and do that and say yes. And that gave us 6 small strings. So we'll pick those up, go back into our list, and you can see now we have makeshift knife listed as an object or an item. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And that's important because the makeshift knife has butchering quality and cutting quality. So we're going to need those for various things we're going to do. And I'm actually going to now do the butcher command. So I stepped onto that pile of objects and I did Shift B for butcher, and I'm going to tell it to cut up one of these sheets. Alright, we did so, and you can see here we now have 19 rags. So there's kind of a progression of objects and items that you can go through, and once you know how to get to various things and where to find certain raw materials, things get a lot easier. So there are skill requirements, there are tool requirements, and there are raw material requirements for the things you're going to craft. And understanding how to move through these progressions is very important. So this is going to give you some good examples of that and get you some early starting equipment. As you can see, hardly any time in the game has actually gone by, and we're making some good progress and getting some good initial tools. Alright, so why did we do these? So now we have rags, we've got strings, we've got metal, and let's check our crafting list. So we're going to make another spike, just like we had a second ago. So we're going to do Shift-7, search for spike. There it is. We're going to build one more of these. We'll use the scrap metal. And it dropped it on the ground, which is fine. Then we're going back into that list again, and here's the reason I've gone through this progression, the knife spear. Super important. Get a knife spear as soon as you can. So you can see here that it requires survival 1, which we got by going out and searching the bushes. It needs a heavy stick and 2x4, which we have, the spike we just created, the rag that we got by butchering the curtain, and then a long string, which we also got from a different curtain. So we're going to go ahead and build this. We're going to say to use the 2x4, and we now have a knife spear on the ground. So we're going to grab that, and we're going to dispose of that. Alright, so you can see in our hand is the knife spear. Here's why this is really critical weapon early game. It's got a fairly high pierce and bash value, pierce being the main damage. +1 to hit. It's got a decent moves per attack number. Now this, the lower the better. The less the attacks moves it takes, the faster it swings essentially. So you want this number to be as low as possible, but 113 is respectable. It has 1 food cooking quality, meaning you can stick meat on the end of this and hold it over the fire to cook with, for example. So it actually provides you with a minor amount of cooking quality. So if you butcher an animal, for example, for the meat, you can actually cook it using this as a tool, as long as you have a fire. So that is good for an early way of cooking food. And then also it has blocking ability, so it has a medium blocking ability to block incoming attacks, and most importantly it has reach attack. This reach attack skill means that it can hit things 2 spaces away from you. So you are able to attack not just the spaces directly around you, but you can actually attack 1 more space out. This is critically important early game. Always try to get a hold of a knife spear right away, because it allows you to hit something 2 spaces away, back up, hit it again, back up, hit it again, and it never gets within hand-to-hand range to hit you. So you don't take damage, you don't have to worry about getting bit or infected, and it's just really super valuable. I can't stress enough just how important it is to get something with a reach attack as early as you can. You always want to make sure that you're killing things at far a range as possible from your body, so that there's less chance of you actually being wounded or infected. So, knife spear, really important. Really just takes a few basic items and skills, as you saw. All we had to do is go out and search for some bushes, and then through a combination of breaking apart the raw materials here in the base and butchering a few items, we were able to craft the knife spear. Alright, so now we've got a knife spear, we've got a crowbar, we don't have enough carrying capacity for everything. Let's drop a few things so we can carry what we want here. I'm going to drop all of that stuff. And the heavy stick. Alright, that should give us enough space. Perfect. So if we take a look at our inventory, we've got the rock, just mainly for the hammering skill. We've got our lockpicks, we've got our crowbar, we've got our knife. We've got a pocket knife, so we didn't actually need this makeshift knife, but it was a good example for the tutorial. And then we've got our knife spear for our weapon. So what's next? Well, that gives you the basic tools and a weapon that are very reliable and that you're going to need when you go into town searching for things. So you've got a way of breaking into houses with the lockpicks and the crowbar. You've got a reach attack weapon, which allows you to fight the slower zombies and animals without having to worry too much about them being able to hit you back. So what else do we need? Well, we need to secure some food and water sources. So we need something that's a little better than this spear to cook food in, to boil water in, and so on. Well, how do we do that? Well, there's a couple of choices. So warmth, a controlled fire source, and a way of cooking and boiling food and water are pretty much the next critical items. Once you've secured those things, you can relax a little bit in the survival aspect. So what I'd like to show you now is we have a town to the northeast. There are a couple of residences. We're going to visit these residences. Now, I'm going to cheat slightly. As we travel, I'm going to be killing most of the monsters. I'll demonstrate the knife spear real quick if a normal zombie shows up. But otherwise, I'm going to use the debug menu just to kill the zombies, because that's not the point of this course. I want to show you a couple of things about why you would go into houses early and what you can benefit from by doing so. So combat is secondary, so just expect that I'm not going to be doing a detailed walkthrough here. I just want to show a couple of specific things. So I'm just going to run north and head towards those houses. We're going to kill any zombies that show up. Alright, acid zombie, not what we want to see. We're going to destroy... Oh, look at that. Acid zombie and a bear are going at it. Hello, Mr. Bear. I do not want to mess with the bear. I'm going to kill the bear. Goodbye, bear. Where's the option here? Kill all monsters. Alright, bear's gone. Now, we could butcher the bear for meat, but that's not the point of this demonstration. So, bring the map up. We're kind of skirting around this office tower. We're going to avoid it. We just want to go to this house. That's a more likely destination for our early game. So we'll come up to the front of the house. It's got an attached garage, it looks like, and here's the front door. Hey, we can't get in, it's locked. Well, we can either do the lockpick, pick a direction, and it failed. We'll try again. It failed again. And apparently there's some zombies nearby that are hearing us and wanting to come bite us. And we kept failing. Well, let's try the crowbar instead. And it successfully crowbarred it open. Now notice when you use the crowbar, it did sound 7, meaning anybody within 7 spaces of that noise would be able to hear it. So zombies over here would hear it and come towards us and so on. So crowbars do have an effect of noise that you have to be careful of. But we're in the house. Alright, well, why did we come here? Lots of reasons. You have your own reasons for coming here, but in particular I want to show you a couple of things. Garage is empty. I'm looking for the kitchen mainly. Alright, kitchen's down here. So, a kitchen has a couple of important things. There's a chance of exactly this. There's a pot sitting on the oven here. Pot is wonderful. If we found a pot, then that would solve our problem with being able to boil water and cook food. But let's say there was no pot here. The oven itself, you can safely stack wood in and set on fire. It will provide you with a controlled fire burning capability. So any fire that you set on an oven space will not spread. You don't have to worry about burning the house down. So if you've cleared the house and you want to use it as a base, feel free to put wood in the oven, light it on fire, and you'll be able to cook with no problem without the fire spreading. But let's say you did not plan on using this as your base and there was no pot here. Well, the next thing you can do is smash this thing apart. So I'm going to use the makeshift crowbar. We're going to drop our spear and I'm just going to smash away at that oven, and I broke it. I'm going to do the same thing to the refrigerator until it breaks, and that gives us some raw material choices. So if you look here, the oven, when you break it apart, gives you a pilot light, a heating element, and hopefully a bunch of sheet metals. So these items are important, and I'm going to do another cheat here. I'm going to wish for an item. We're going to bring in a backpack, just so I don't have to deal with having to hold on to things. Alright, we're going to wear the backpack, and I'm going to pick up these raw materials. I'm going to grab the pilot light, I'm going to grab the sheet metals, and the heating element. And from the refrigerator, the only thing useful would be the rubber hose for siphoning liquids out of gas tanks, for example, but we're going to leave the rest of that. So the oven is the main thing I wanted to point out. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and grab our knife spear, and we're going to wield it again, and we're going to get moving again. I'm just going to break my... Whoops. I'm going to break my way out of here, get moving, and we're going to head over to the other house. I'm going to kill any zombies that show up. I got a few chasing us. Oh, smoker zombie. No, no, you go away, smoker zombie. Kill all monsters. Alright. That's not what this course is about. Alright, we're going to use the crowbar to try to crowbar open this window. Oh, we failed and we broke the glass. Oh well. We're going to head in. I'm just looking for the kitchen again. Here we go. And we got another pot, which is great, but we're going to assume that's not there, and we're going to break this. We're again going to grab just the... Oh, we got 5 sheet metals that time. That's perfect. Alright. I think that'll do it. So, 2 houses. We just basically beat up the stoves or ovens, grab the raw materials out of them, and then we're going to head back to our base. Alright, how we doing? Nope, we overran it a bit. It's over this way. Nope, I was wrong. It was that direction. There we go. Alright, so now we're back in our base. So the reason we went through all that and we headed over to those houses to get these raw materials is for a couple of reasons. One, if you do a search for pot, you can see here that you can make a makeshift pot out of 1 sheet metal. So by destroying the ovens, we were able to get several sheet metals. So if we were not lucky enough to find pots in those kitchens, this is a way to make a pot. And you can see here it has 1 boiling quality, so you can boil water to clean it before you drink it. It has a containing quality, and it has 2 food cooking quality. So those are all important for recipes, so that will meet the minimum requirements, allowing you to cook food and to boil water. So we'll go ahead and make one of those. And we failed, but we didn't waste any materials. We're going to repeat we failed another time. Try again, and we finally made it. So we successfully made our makeshift pot. Great. So the next thing I want to look at is another item, and we actually don't have the skill for this one, but it's called a brazier. I'm trying to remember just what skill is required. I think it's fabrication that we need to raise in order to find the brazier. Yeah, it's fabrication skill, and we need a hammering quality of 2. So we would need to get a better hammer. So if we search for hammer, we can do a makeshift hammer out of some of the things we've got, and that has hammering quality of 2. So we'll go ahead and build that out of a 2x4. So we've got the hammer. And we won't have the brazier on our list yet. I'm going to cheat in one more thing. So you can raise your fabrication skill by building things or by reading a book. That's topics for another category. But I do want to show you this one thing. So I'm actually going to update my skills, and I'm going to give myself 1 point of fabrication just for the purpose of this tutorial. And then we're going to bring this list back up again, find brazier, and there it is. So difficulty 1 requires fabrication, and our skill level is now 1. So if you either start with fabrication of 1 via your starting character class when you're picking your skills, or if you can raise your fabrication to 1, this is important. So the reason we're going to build a brazier, and it only takes 2 sheet metals, which you get from those ovens in the kitchen, is it will allow you to have a controlled fire location in your base. So it's a super easy way of being able to build fires in your base without having to light bushes on fire outside or anything like that. And you can see here that it says you can set it somewhere through construction menu and then set fires in it with no risk of spreading. So we're going to go ahead and build one. We failed and wasted materials. We're going to try again, failed again, and we finally succeeded. We had just enough sheet metal, I think, to actually finish that properly. Alright, so we now have a brazier in our inventory. And what I'll do is I'm going to use the menu here. And right here it says place brazier. So this is the construction menu. Shift 8 to go to construction. And we're just going to arrow over to furniture, place it, tell it where, and now we have a brazier emplaced. And what we can do now is if I transfer over to the brazier, cancel out of that. So if I grab, for example, a couple 2x4s and drop them on the brazier, like so, we can use our whoops, not the knife, we can use our matchbook in that direction, and it lights it on fire. That fire will not spread. The brazier contains it, but that gives us a source of fire that we can then cook food with. So we can cook our wild vegetables, we can make some herbal tea, and so on. So we've now successfully crafted tools. We've got a crowbar, we've got lock picks, we've got a knife spear. So we've got both useful tools, a very, very useful weapon. We've got the ability to control fire in our base that allows us to cook whenever we need to. We've got cooking implements, the makeshift pot, or if you looted a pot, you could then use that to cook food, boil water, and so on. So that takes care of most of our early game survival needs. So I hope you found this course helpful. These tips and strategies for the very early game, once you know a few early things about the progression, how to get various raw materials, what skill requirements might be needed, how to raise certain skills, and then where to find the raw materials to build a few key items will really, really help you out in surviving the very, very early parts of the game. Especially in the evac shelter where you've got these specific items like the curtains you can tear down for raw materials, bashing up the benches and the lockers, and so on, and then visiting a nearby house to grab the sheet metals and the heating elements so that you can build various things. So I hope you found the information helpful and you have good luck surviving in your next apocalypse attempt. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments section, or you can visit my Discord channel linked below, and I'd be happy to help you out in any way possible. Lots of other folks there in the Discord that are very knowledgeable about the game and may be able to answer your questions quicker than I can get to them as well. I also have my other social media contacts linked below. Feel free to visit me on any of those platforms, and I'd be happy to help you there as well. So that's it for this course. Hope you had a good time, and I hope to see you in the next one. Have a great day. Bye-bye.